Welcome to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dream 100 Show. I wanted to talk about cash. I've had a lot of interesting conversations over the last couple of weeks in my travels. I've traveled pretty much, I think it was like 21 days out of the last 24 I've been out of town. And most of it has been kind of business, conferences, masterminds, networking, and then tied in with some travel baseball stuff, as you have seen it if you subscribe to the Dream 100 newsletter. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure that you do as well. And the conversations have started to get, I wouldn't say dire, but the conversations are getting more and more interesting, where I'm definitely starting to feel and see a bit of a pullback. Now, I wrote a book, it's actually on the shelf behind me, titled Recession Marketing. And I wrote that book roughly a year and a half, 2 years ago. And there are lots of different people that say, are we in a recession? I just read a bunch of data in the last 24 hours that said if XYZ doesn't happen, and it's most likely not going to happen, we are 95% likely Q4 of this year to be in a full-blown recession. And I'm noticing the conversation around cash to be getting to this place where people are starting to pull back. And I'm seeing that pullback in a variety of different areas. I'm seeing the pullback with other people that are in business and wanting to maybe not invest in something that you were thinking of doing, or not joining this particular event or mastermind, or you're going to buy this piece of equipment and you're kind of holding off. And I don't necessarily know if we really want to do that. I'm also noticing that the cash on the other side, so the people that you're selling to, in a lot of industries, I'm starting to see some pullbacks and some price resistance that I didn't see as heavily the last couple of years. In particular, though I don't have a marketing agency in the home services industry, that industry in general is really getting disrupted at this moment. A lot of really crazy things, and it's very interesting to learn about and read about, where a lot of private equity is coming in and buying up like plumbing and HVAC businesses and starting to jack up prices, but also to, I wouldn't say a monopoly, obviously, but making it more and more challenging for the one-off location to compete when you're going against a bit of a big conglomerate. And I took a couple of steps back and said, how do we actually solve this stuff? I'm in the business of solving problems. One of my mentors would always say, if you have no problems, you have no business. Like, there's no business that doesn't necessarily have any problems. And the answer came to me very, very rapidly, and it's an answer that I've talked about in the past. The simple answer for you to start to solve your challenges is marketing. Marketing is going to create the brand awareness. It's going to create the leads, the opportunities, which turn into deals, which deals then create the cash. So what if you didn't have to worry so much about the cash? Would you decide to invest in that new piece of equipment for your business? Would you decide to move forward with the acquisition or the new software tool? Maybe you were finally getting ready to pull the trigger on the latest and greatest or the best software tool so that you can track all of your leads and your opportunities. The best way that I know how to teach you, how to mentor you, is to continue to up your game from a marketing perspective. Every single thing points back at better marketing, more effective marketing, more reliable, consistent marketing produces better results. Plain and simple. So let's take the HVAC business as an example. So let's say all around you, everyone else is getting bought up by private equity. And you're saying, well, how am I going to compete? Because their marketing budgets are bigger, they can lower prices and compete against me. How do I have to stand out? Like, what can I do to go toe-to-toe against the 500-pound gorilla? How do I do that? You can out market them. You don't have to outspend them. You can outmarket them. So how do you start to do that? So how do you start to outmarket when things all around you seem like they're starting to tighten up? The economy could potentially be getting very, very disastrous. I think regardless of what happens with the election, we're going to be in for a tough next 12 to 24 months, possibly even longer. There's a lot of signs that are showing this to be true. But if you do the opposite and you start to pull back on your marketing, you start to invest less, you decide you're not going to go to these 3 conferences that you've been to for 10 years in a row, you decide to not renew your HubSpot tool, even though it's produced you millions of dollars, and you want to go to tracking your leads in Google Sheets, for example, to save that money. What I do not want you to do to produce more cash is to start to cut all of your marketing. And I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see that with my marketing agency, where we've had some clients that have received amazing results. And they've sent an email, I've decided that we're gonna make this our last week or last month, or appreciate everything you've done, but we're done. And our marketing agency has the lowest investments in the industry. You cannot get anywhere close to what we charge, anywhere close. And people are still outside of everything else starting to say, I need that $1,500. So what does this all mean? Like, what does it mean to you? What is the opportunity that is in front of us? I believe the next 12 months is the absolute best time that I have ever seen for you to double down, triple down in your marketing. I have never seen a better time. What does that mean, Michael? Like, what do I need? What do I do first? Like, what are you saying to me here? The first thing that I'm saying to you is that I need you to find a way to produce some extra cash so that you can double or triple all of your marketing that you're currently doing. Now, if you have big coffers of money sitting in the bank and you have that to invest, then you don't need to go and generate a ridiculous amount of cash right away. But I need you to generate some cash so that over the next couple of months, you can start to capitalize when everyone is pulling back. One thing I can tell you that I'm doing is I am scooping up the best domain names in various markets across all different things that were priced about 10 times higher 1 to 2 years ago. And I'm grabbing them for not only resell, kind of like flipping real estate, but more so assets that we can then build products around, funnels around, all of that good stuff. Small little thing, but I need the cash, the capital to do that. What I want you to look at is take a look at your email database, take a look at your current customers, and see what are some of the levers that you can pull to generate some more cash in your business over the next 60 days. One of the things that we just did was raise prices. We have not raised our prices at our agency in close to 7 years. And even with the price increase, we are still the lowest in the industry by when you're comparing kind of pound for pound. So you can't say, well, we're making a web, you got a GoDaddy websites for $39, really don't compare to a custom WordPress website with content and all that. So you got to compare apples to apples. But look at how you can drive some more capital quickly. How can you line your coffers a little bit so that you can then take that and reinvest it into marketing the next 12 months? I started this conversation saying cash, and cash is created through marketing. So if you are hesitant to double, triple, quadruple your marketing, and when I say that, I mean not just money, but I mean efforts. If you're putting out 5 pieces of content on social media a week, I want to see 10, 15, 20 pieces of social media content a week. How do you do that? Either you hire some more people, you outsource it, or you change the activities that you're doing if you're going to do it. But in more cases than not, it's going to be something that someone on your team or you're going to have to add a person or 2 or 3 to your team. But what I found is that entrepreneurs, at least for me, I have a trait that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have, in the sense that I, at many times, am a little bit risk adverse. There are a lot of times where I have not taken decisive action because I don't have a ridiculously high risk tolerance. Now, I could tell you all the times that I've done the exact opposite and I've taken huge risks. But for me to come to you and say, hey, I want you to double, triple, quadruple your marketing the next 12 months, I want you to find ways to create cash. Look at increasing your prices. Look at all of the hidden marketing, hidden resources you have that you have not done anything with. Trade show leads, your email list. How often are you blasting your email list? At minimum once a week. At minimum. Do you have text messages, cell phone numbers? Do you have physical addresses? When was the last time you sent some physical things in the mail? Regardless of what your business is, I need you to create some more capital so that if you were that HVAC company, that everyone around you is getting bought up. And now everyone around you is under the same brand name, or if they're operating under their existing name, but they're owned by some big conglomerate. Just because that company does have more money to invest than you might, they're often not going to go in and double, triple, quadruple the marketing. They're starting to execute things because they like the industries. They're liking home services as an example, and they like the margins. So they're going to have to throw capital at this. And I've seen a lot of private equity that actually go in and acquire the businesses, and then they slash the marketing budget so they can produce what they think is going to be better marketing results for their investors. So I'm actually seeing that opportunity. I'm seeing it in black and white to the point where the Dream 100 formula, in tandem with all of your day-to-day marketing, can produce you riches unlike anything that you've ever experienced. Now, for the sake of transparency, I'm going to finally start completely documenting all the different things that I am doing across my businesses to show you how I'm doing exactly what I just told you to do. I would be a hypocrite if I'm telling you to go find some money and then I want to see you producing more content. I want to see you double your ad spend. I want to see you double the amount of direct mail you're doing. It doesn't have to be double the addresses, but double the frequency. I want to see all those things that you've been holding off. I want to see you do them. But for my sanity, and ideally possibly for yours, I want to see you generate some cash to then pay for these things so you can start to move that needle quicker and not have to get into that state of direness. And that's what I'm starting to feel. And what I found is that when you're in that state, and I've been there, you do not make clear decisions. You start to pull back on everything left and right. You make bad business decisions, bad financial decisions because you're coming from a place of scarcity. Generate some cash and then stick with me the next couple of weeks as we're going to look through all the different ways that you can start to deploy it by way of online, offline marketing, the gifting strategy within Dream 100, the partnerships, and I'll start to talk through more of the day-to-day stuff that I'm doing so you can learn about my behind-the-scenes moves that I don't typically publicly talk about. I share a lot on this show. I share a lot in my newsletters. And I've decided that my way to start to give back at a higher level is going to be to share every single thing that I've done that either works, doesn't work. Give you every single thing, black and white, largely for free, so that you can move the needle in your business, but it can line up with what I have finally realized is my calling, and that is helping eradicate small business failure. I started with this conversation around cash, and I did that for several reasons. Number one, I want you to create more cash so that you can double, triple your marketing. Marketing produces then additional cash to keep the train moving. Everything starts with marketing. The other reason that I started this conversation with cash was that I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs that have had to close their doors. And the number one reason they have to end up closing their doors is they ran out of cash. They had no cash. They were over leveraged. Cash is what puts them in the grave. That's what kills businesses. So if we can solve this together, if I can continue to give you everything and anything that I know about not just marketing and the Dream 100 formula, but everything else around business that I've learned in my past 25 years in being in business, if I can help save one business, I don't care if it's only one business. Obviously, my goal is to impact hundreds of thousands, as many as I can. But if I can help one business from going under because they ran out of cash, I will have done what I came to do. Get out there, take some action, generate some more cash, and then start to take that capital, that cash, reinvest it in more marketing to keep your train moving, to have you grab that brand equity, to grab the market share, to grab the more customers so that you then continue to grow and continue to outmarket everyone. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. See you next week.